The invasion of Ukraine has effectively already begun, as President Biden has also remarked. This invasion is unjustified, it's unwarranted, it's unprovoked, and it's unacceptable. Russia is at peak readiness to now complete a full-scale invasion of Ukraine, and that is likely to occur within the next 24 hours. And there are even reports already of shelling and things of that nature which could indicate that it has already begun. My first thoughts are for all of the people of Ukraine and for those many 38,000 Australians of Ukrainian descent who is here. I spoke to Stefan Ramanin, who heads up the Ukrainian community here in Australia earlier today. And they're, of course, very concerned for their families, for their friends, and for their homeland, from where they have come from. And I'll have a bit more to say about how we'll be seeking to provide support to them. Australians always stand up to bullies, and we will be standing up to Russia, along with all of our partners, like-mindeds, and all of those who believe that it is absolutely unacceptable that Russia could invade its neighbour and seek to extract some concessions or advantage out of threats of terrible violence upon its neighbour. We will be doing this in concert, as I said, with our many allies and partners, but the Australian government will immediately begin placing sanctions on Russian individuals in response to the aggression by Russia against Ukraine. We will also amend the Autonomous Sanctions Regulation of 2011 to extend existing sanctions that apply to Crimea and Sevastopol to the regions of Donetsk and Luhansk. These two actions will align us with our key partners, the United States and the United Kingdom. Our intention today and the decisions taken by the National Security Committee are to ensure that we are in lockstep with the United States and the United Kingdom in the sanctions that they are imposing upon Russia and these other areas. Initially, we will impose travel bans and targeted financial sanctions on 8 members of the Security Council of the Russian Federation. Tomorrow morning, I will meet with the Governor-General here in Sydney, and I've spoken to him earlier today as a special Executive Council meeting to enable my government to impose those additional sanctions against Russia. These sanctions will significantly expand the scope of persons, and I stress entities, that Australia can list for targeted financial sanctions and travel bans. It's including to capture persons and entities of what is termed strategic and economic significance to Russia. And so that gives us a broad coverage to ensure that we can target those who are particularly involved in these actions and who are aiding and abetting this invasion. The sanctions will impose strong economic sanctions in the regions of Luhansk and Donetsk, targeting the following sectors: transport, energy, telecommunications, oil, gas and mineral reserves. We will be also moving, as the United States and the UK has, to sanction the Russian State Development Bank, VB, the military bank, Promsivac Bank, Rossiya, IS Bank, the General Bank and the Black Sea Bank. The Treasurer has spoken today to all of the CEOs of the major banks and to put them on alert to be aware of any suspicious transactions or things of that nature. And of course, AUSTRAC will be doing their job in response to what could possibly occur. In response to Russia's recognition of the Luhansk and Donetsk regions of eastern Ukraine as independent states, that is why these actions are being undertaken to extend into those areas. In the first tranche, I've asked the Foreign Minister to consider sanctions against persons and entities that have been identified by our like-minded partners, and I expect subsequent tranches of sanctions. This is only the start of this process. We are working with our partners to identify additional individuals who will be subject to these sanctions that have been made possible by our autonomous sanctions legislation that we recently took through the Parliament. The Security Council of Russia provided policy advice and justification to President Putin, which led to his presidential decree of 21 February, recognising the so-called Donetsk People's Republic and the Luhansk People's Republic. Moscow's decision fundamentally undermines Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity, and it has no validity under international law. Our government continues to coordinate closely with the United States, UK and European Union and other governments to ensure there are severe costs to Russia's aggression. And we won't hesitate to take further actions under those regulations that I have set out.